All right, so now this is going to be what I recommend you add to your emergency home power kit. Now this is going to be distinct from emergency charging. The difference is the emergency home power kit is in contrast to your device charging kit. This is for larger things, like if you have a portable air conditioner, if you have your refrigerator, things that are higher wattage, higher amp, interchangeable terms. You want to have a kit, even though you might already have an extension cord somewhere. You might have the extra wheeled luggage, or you might have all your stuff in the garage. The problem is, your extension cords you might have loaned out to somebody. They might have broken, you might have lost one. You want to have a dedicated kit because it's forced redundancy. So now you at least have two, if not at least have one, even though you think you already have this. Also, in a moment's notice, you don't have to go looking for the extension cord throughout your house, go looking for the inverter. It's already there in a case, ideally a wheeled case you just keep in your garage. And you can stack these. They're indestructible cases, and they're oversized to put more than you think you're going to need. Extension cords, people often use the longest one, thinking it's just safe to use. The problem with that is it gets a lot hotter. You get voltage drop the longer the cord is, so you're getting less volts at the end of it than you are at the front, and that's much worse for a 100-foot extension cord versus a 25. So have extension cords in multiple different sizes, always grounded, ideally always with the 3-prong outlet at the end, and the thickest you can afford to buy and store. So you can never go wrong getting a 12 gauge or a 10 gauge. 10 gauge is thicker than a 12 gauge, but you can go wrong using an inappropriate extension cord that's 16 gauge, because you won't know that it's too thin until either it doesn't power your device or it starts to overheat because you're forcing too many amps through a conduit that's not designed for it. You really can't go wrong having that extra capacity, and you might not need it, but you definitely couldn't go wrong having an extension cord that's too thin. Now this is a clip-on inverter for your car. This allows you to use your car as a gas generator. And you have one of these, right? I think so.
Does it work with electric cars?
Good question. So electric cars do have a 12-volt battery like the Teslas do, but it's hard to get to. This definitely works better on a regular gas car where you have access to the positive and negative terminals. So what you want to look for is pure sine wave, not modified sine wave. The reason they sell modified sine wave is that they're a lot cheaper, and most people don't know the difference. But modified sine wave is not the same type of electricity you have in your outlets in your house, and it can, and in some cases will, quickly damage your appliances. I know this firsthand because I had to learn the difference the hard way because I was roasting my appliance time after time after time until I realized I was using the wrong inverter. So this allows you to keep your car in the driveway and run an extension cord from the inverter into your house. You could, if you have your car in the garage, just make sure it's vented, and then you can power your refrigerator in your garage. If you have a battery power station, that's even better, and I'll get to that in a sec. You might, if you don't want to have that wheeled hard case, one of these collapsible luggage totes is a great idea as well. That could be if you don't want to have maybe a dedicated kit because you know where everything is. That's fine to just store everything in there, and now you can wheel it from room to room. It's a lot easier. And it's also a way to just store things in it if you need to. This is what I really recommend, a portable battery power station. And you use it for things like this. I mean, right now there's not an outlet nearby, so I'm using Laura's Yeti Goal Zero to power my laptop. And it's a huge battery. It allows you to power a refrigerator. You can power a portable air conditioner. But the best thing about it is that you can charge it over and over again indefinitely from solar panels. So the problem with a gas generator is that eventually you're going to run out of gas. And where are you going to get more gas from? The gas stations are going to be either too crowded, too unsafe, or completely out of fuel because we have this antiquated system where we use diesel trucks to deliver gasoline and diesel. And the infrastructure is going to be compromised. It's going to be blocked. There's not going to be drivers. Most people aren't going to work when their family comes first. So the problem with the inverter is that you're going to run out of gas eventually, but the advantage of this versus a regular gas generator is that the gas in your generator is going to get old. We have a lot of ethanol in our fuel that gums up the lines. this allows you to use the fuel in your car that is going to be a lot fresher because you're cycling it out over and over again, which is another reason why you never want to let the fuel tank get below half. So with solar panels, you really can't have too many. The extra capacity just means you can charge at the full charging rate of your power station. Like in this case, the power station is usually, all these new ones are smart enough to know how much watts you're feeding in, and it'll only take as much as it can basically safely digest. So you really can't go wrong having too many solar panels. You're going to have a bottleneck somewhere. Either you're not going to have enough solar panels, so you're going to not charge at the full rate, or you're going to have everything plugged in your power bank and you're going to be drawing power faster than you can charge it up. So another unique advantage of these things, of these portable power stations compared to generators, is that you can fuel these things while you're drawing power from it, and that's called pass-through charging. So every power bank you get, you'd want to get pass-through charging. So while you're drawing power from it, while you have all your devices plugged in, because the sun is out, it's free, abundant energy that you want to harness, you can charge both the power bank itself and all the connected devices to it. So your lights, because you're going to need lights at night. It gets dark every night. You're going to need your water purification, your radios, your comms gear, things like that. You should always be charging. There's always something that needs to be topped off, and there's always somebody who has a device that needs charging. So having extra capacity means you can charge at your full rate. You can also loan out a solar panel or two, and you have a spare. And yeah, go ahead.
If you have solar at home, can you tap into those solar panels?
Good question. So they don't do those anymore. I have, and some of us still have the inverters that have the GFI outlets. So look outside where you have your inverters, and if you have, it's usually a covered outlet that allows you to shunt the power directly from your panels into that outlet. But they're not doing that anymore. I don't think you do, but you can request it. I don't know if your installer will still do it, but better than that is a whole home battery. I prefer not having a whole home battery because I want to be able to take the power with me if I need to. And also, batteries have a finite shelf life, so they are getting better and better every year. I don't want to be locked in to something. I mean, they're already on the second generation of the Tesla Powerwall, which is noticeably more effective and efficient. It depends on how many kilowatts, but I would actually consider, if you're going to do the whole home battery, look at Tesla Powerwall, but those are not necessarily the best. They were kind of the first to market. They have a good market share. Obviously, I love Tesla, but they're designed to be lightweight. It's basically the same technology in the cars, and that's fine for a car, but you don't need lightweight for your house. You want the most energy dense for your house, and that's why there's a new technology from NeoVolta is one of them, and it's a very heavy battery, but if it's mounted to your garage, what do you care? And you can even mount this outside your garage to save garage space. It's totally weatherproof. So that would allow you to be completely off grid. And there are people that once they got it, they connected their house to it, they disconnected from the SDGE grid completely. They have zero electricity bill and they're completely self-sufficient. So you can do it that way, or you can stay tied in, top off your batteries every day, and then sell the excess back during peak. So you can really optimize it. You use your big appliances, you charge your car, you do your washing machine, your dishwasher between midnight to 6 a.m. And then during peak and super on peak, that's when you're selling the excess back to the grid. So there's ways that you can amortize it. Yeah. Oh, I'm not. No, I consult. I'm not a licensed electrician. I can't. It absolutely does. Yeah. But what you can do instead of that, all right, so that's a great option, especially if you plan on staying at the home for a while. I mean, solar kind of is a no-brainer. The technology is still progressing, so for the same amount of roof space, you can get roughly twice the wattage you could get 10 years ago. But they have like 20 to 25-year warranties. They're really well built. The technology isn't changing as much as it is with the batteries and the inverters. So that's where you definitely want to consider, do you want to go whole home battery, or do you want to get a portable power station that you can stack? So I just ordered 2 more of these. They're 3,600 watt hours each. And I'll spare you from the details, but basically if you have a fridge that consumes 100 watt hours, that means it's consuming 100 watts in 1 hour.
How do you know what it is?
You'll look on the label, and it has the Energy Star guide on most of these appliances. And it's also, keep in mind that the condenser, the compressor, doesn't run for the full hour. It runs like a third of the hour. But these power stations will give you a real-time reading of exactly how many hours you have remaining. So once you plug it into your garage fridge, it'll fluctuate because the compressor will cycle on and off. But the point is, you can use one of these in your garage, connected to your garage fridge, your emergency fridge, which is a lot easier to plug in. It's more efficient than your built-in. And you would basically keep this in your garage plugged in the whole time. Plug your refrigerator into it the whole time. Just leave it, and then it's constantly charging. It's a power conditioner, and as soon as the power cuts off, it immediately powers your fridge from the battery. So there's no interruption. And that's very similar to a whole home battery. That's how it's also designed to work. But if you do need to leave, you can't take your whole home battery with you. You can take 2 or 3 of these and have unlimited power, basically, if you have solar panels with it. So if you have an alternate location where you can escape to, and this gets to the point of having a key exchange with 3 to 5 other people throughout the state or nearby states. If they have to evacuate, they can go to your house. If you have to evacuate, you can go to their house. And one thing you can do as an incentive to sweeten the deal to get them to, accept, I wouldn't say a stranger, these are close friends or family, but to entice them when they otherwise might say, I don't know if I feel comfortable with that, is, hey, I'll bring the emergency rations. So even if I can't make it, you can use it. You can eat my Mountain House pantry. You can use my battery bank, because you're going to be more prepared than most of your friends are. I'd like to say once you complete one of my courses, but just going through this, like, you're thinking about things that other people are not thinking about, and if they're not thinking about it, they're not preparing for it.
Well,
So,
my casita is not connected with my solar, so I need something for that because they couldn't put it on that roof line.
yeah, so this would be ideal because you have portable solar panels, and basically you could keep the panels outside during the day. You can run the cord that connects the solar panels to the power station. You get a 100-foot cord on that. So the solar panels stay outside the whole time. They're waterproof. They never have to come inside. And then this power station, which is another advantage over a gas generator, you can bring these inside. You can't ever bring a gas generator inside. So
What emergency, if you don't use that area, you take it somewhere else.
yeah, but keep one of these upstairs. They're heavy. The bigger you get, the more capacity you get, the heavier it is. These are 99 pounds, but they have a pull handle and they have wheels. So it's actually easier to carry than this one, which is significantly lighter. So basically have someone bring it upstairs for you, plug it into the wall, and that's it. And then it'll actually hold the charge for 1 year at 99%. But you just want to keep it plugged in. It'll keep the battery fresh. It's there for whenever you need it, and it'll give you enough power to charge your laptop 20 plus times, to charge your phones, charge your lights. You want rechargeable lighting because it's going to go during a power outage, and better yet, your fans. So I just had to experience for the last 5 weeks sleeping without air conditioning, and of course it happens at the worst possible time. And also, another reason to get your air conditioner serviced and maintained properly. And if you have an old air conditioner that uses the old Freon, that's going to be banned in California next year. Consider getting that looked at now, because there's going to be a rush to get these replaced with like the.
Right now, if I have an emergency.
Look at the serial number. Look at the model of it. It's probably a lot of these came with Goodman brand, but take a look.
So maybe get it replaced.
I would wait until the end of summer when there's going to be less demand for it, but definitely do it before next summer when it gets hot, and then there's going to be a rush to get these replaced, because already you can't buy the old Freon. It's like the R22 refrigerant. You can't get it. You can get it bootleg from Mexico for $3,000, I hear. But the old refrigerant, you're going to need to get it replaced, and you can't anymore. And they're really going to make it impossible next year. So, but portable air conditioners are a great thing to have, because you don't need to cool your whole house. You just need to cool the room you're in,
That's right.
and it's incredibly efficient. And my wife and I have been using that for 5 weeks. this little penguin, that's what it's called, and you just vent the air outside. You open the window, it has the window slide, and then it looks pretty crappy for our HOA, but it beats trying to sleep with no ventilation. It's unbearable, and the humidity. And then today, I use my portable air conditioner. It's made by this company, EcoFlow. This just came out this year. It's a portable battery-powered air conditioner. And air conditioning uses a lot of power, so it has a large battery that it connects to, and then you can charge it from your house, or you can plug it into your 12 volt on your car, and it will last 8 hours on eco mode. It's enough to cool a room, and you can vent the hot air out, or if you have to, sleep in your car, sleep in an alternate shelter, you just vent the hot air out the window, but it blows really cold, dehumidified air, and it creates a significant amount of condensate, which you could use for water. It's loud, yeah. I mean, every air conditioner is pretty loud. The standalone air conditioners, if you are going to get one, look for one that has whisper mode or something equivalent to that. The Penguin that we got has that, and it does help. And then, if you're on the first floor, if it's not going to rain, you can put the AC outside, so it's venting the hot air out, the fan is outside, and then just connect the hose inside. So basically flip the vent, so you're venting the cold air in from outside, and that'll significantly cut down on the noise. All right, we're almost done. Just remember, solar panels, get as many as you can. 12 volt fridge is another idea instead of just a regular AC fridge. The reason this is good is because
That's a refrigerator?
yeah. It's a refrigerator and freezer.
Okay.
And it runs on both 12 volt or your wall outlet 110 AC. But the advantage of a 12 volt is that you're skipping the DC to AC inversion process. So your power bank is already 12 volt. It does have an inverter to connect an AC outlet to, but that's a waste of energy if you're creating AC current. You're using an inverter to create the AC current. If you can avoid doing that by powering something just directly from DC, then you can power it from your car, you can power it from the power bank.
So that'd be a good thing to put in the garage.
Absolutely. And the smaller the size, the quicker it cools. Because if you haven't been running your garage fridge, it's going to take a half a day to get down to the operating temperature. This is going to cool in just about 2 hours.
Is there something like that with a freezer?
Yeah, this is a fridge and freezer. You can get them in different sizes. That you can get them on Amazon, Best Buy, and I definitely would look for the 12 volt and 120. Yeah. All right. Now this is something you probably have never seen before, but have you heard the term EMP, electromagnetic pulse? All right, so that is my number one fear. Electromagnetic pulse would wipe out most of our electronics. Some say all, depends on the nature of it. There was an event, I guess about 100 years ago or so, called the Carrington event. And that was like a rudimentary EMP from, I think it was a solar flare. And it wiped out like all the rudimentary electronics. And that was the last time something like that had happened. So it's not just from a low aerial nuclear blast, which is one way that they could do this. It could also be from solar flares, from natural phenomena. And because everything we have that we're aware of comes from some kind of circuit board, plus a lot more that we're not even thinking of, like the water filter, the water purification that comes to our house, the water pumps that deliver the pressurized water to our house. All these things pass through semiconductors and sensitive electronics that could be wiped out with an EMP attack or EMP incident. So this is something that wires to your car. And I'm not saying this is something that you're likely to buy, because this is not an event that has ever happened in our lifetime, but we are, yeah. And we are closer to, a nuclear conflict than we've been in, 60 years or so. So this allows your car to dissipate the sudden surge of electricity so it doesn't fry your car, so you still have a usable car in emergency. There's going to be stranded cars all over the road, which is why ideally you'd want a four-wheel drive, because some of these roads are just going to be impassable.
Something like that.
About 300. So I have it on my RV, and I don't know if you can get them
Put it in your car.
in the engine. Yeah.
If you have an electric car.
Yeah, I haven't seen them for electric cars yet. I don't know if that would work. Maybe I've never installed it in an electric car, but that's a good question. And also, an electric car is a good thing to have for an emergency because if you get one of these EcoFlow, large power stations, you can charge your car very slowly, but you can charge your car. And it has this other feature which only this brand has, which is why I've switched everything to this brand, EcoFlow. Gold Zero is great, but they don't have this capability. You can connect this to an electric vehicle charger. Now, most of the electric vehicle chargers are going to be offline, but some of them do use solar. Some of them do use like Tesla's batteries. So they're buying electricity at a cheaper rate. It's theoretically possible that the EV charger might work, and you can connect this to an EV charger, and instead of charging this in 2.5 hours from your wall, it charges in 1 hour at 3,600 watts an hour. So that's another way to keep this powered that you couldn't. Yeah. So USB cables, you really can't have too many of these. These are the retractable, expandable ones that I have everywhere because you never know what you're going to need to charge. You have friends that need to charge something, and they don't get tangled. And it has the connector for USB-C, Lightning for your phone, and then micro USB, which a lot of the lights and small electronics have. So they're very small. Instead of just having a mess of different cables and only having the wrong cable instead of the one you need, just like with batteries, have the universal ones. And they have high-speed charging now. They're hard to find, but I can still get them. They're 100 watts charging, which is the fastest charging rate you can for USB-C. So again, like everything's got a bottleneck. It's most likely going to not charge your power bank fast enough because you don't have enough solar. No, I'm talking about this. So for example, like the difference between a 100 watt USB-C cable versus just a regular like USB-A to USB-C, it's 5 times faster to use the 100 watt USB-C to USB-C cable. And if you only have so many hours to charge, either because the sun is setting or you need to be on the road, you want to minimize the bottlenecks. Get the fastest charging cable. Get the most solar you can for the size. Get the fastest.
You have the list on this, what you're doing, which one?
Yeah, that's on here. So this 3-in-1 USB-C cable. This is the new one that has USB-C on one end and the 3 on the other. And the car. Yeah, and the car I just got, it doesn't even have the old USB style. They've completely abandoned that now, so now it's all USB-C. But what do you do if your device isn't USB-C? You have to adapt it, and these cables solve a lot of problems in a very simple format. Portable lighting, these can be put on a tripod like that, so now you have an impromptu work light. If you need to plug something in, if you have your family huddled around, you're gonna need light. Might as well make it rechargeable. And a light that can you hand me that? It might be actually I'll grab it. It might be kind of warm. Yeah, the light that I've been using for this video, it's LED. Nothing. I don't know why it has that police thing. Don't use that. But the interesting thing about this that makes it different is you don't have to plug it in. You just put it on it upside down. Yeah, it's solar.
You charge it at night,
Yeah,
during the day, and then use it during
and then flip it over and use it at night. It's really handy. Yeah, and it it has a built-in stand. That's what I've been using it for here. Has a hook, so you can just hang it if you want. And it has a power bank. So after it's fully charged its battery, it's going to go above and beyond charge its auxiliary battery, however they have it wired. But the point is, the battery in here is larger than it needs to be to just power the light. It's a backup battery that you can draw power from. So it's a power bank. Right now, we're potentially facing even worse production problems than we faced in the last few years. If things kind of heat up in Taiwan, it's another reason to buy things now. I mean, this isn't a sales pitch. It's up to you. I don't care if you buy it or not. Just get into that mindset of, do you think things are going to be more available or less available next year? Do you think things are going to be more expensive or less expensive next year? I mean, it's changing by the month. Yeah, and if these things are non-perishable, I mean, yeah, they have batteries in them, but you just store them. They're going to last a long time. You might as well buy it now because in 2 years or so, you might be able to buy one of what you could buy now and get 3 or 4 for the same price that you're going to pay as